Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is RandoGEEK. All right, so I want to talk about AT&T's great big accomplishment here. Now, I call this a great big accomplishment because times have been really rough for these carriers. We had Verizon missed earnings, and AT&T went ahead and shocked, I think, just about everybody, including themselves at this point in time. I mean, obviously, they have information. They saw where they were going, and maybe this is a lot of why they're able to judge what their next moves are going to be as far as the types of services and plans and perks that they offer. They're seeing what's going on, things that we're not seeing unless, we have inside information. We work with the company or know people that work inside these companies that can give us, a bit of a taste of what's really going on. Otherwise, we're all speculating, right? We're reading reports and we're doing research, but we don't really know what's going to happen when these earnings reports come out. We're just guessing. Right? These are all guesstimates. Nobody really knows until the day these reports come out, and then we see what time it really is. AT&T has proven itself to be a very, very strong, dominant carrier. These reports tell us so. So AT&T done much better than they expected, right? It looks like reported before the market opened, AT&T earnings for the June quarter fell 9% to 57% on an adjusted basis. Revenue from continuing operations dipped a fraction to $29.8 billion. Analysts have projected AT&T earnings of 57 cents a share on revenue of $30 billion, according to FactSet. A year earlier, AT&T earned 63 cents a share on revenue of $29.9 billion. Wireless subscriber additions came in above estimates. During the quarter, the company said it added 419,000 postpaid wireless phone customers versus estimates of 285,000. So keep this in mind. Postpaid wireless phone customers, not prepaid. These are the ones that are doing the credit checks. They're most likely adding multiple lines. These are probably family plans here, getting at least 3-4 lines per household. So this is a big deal. They're getting basically, when you get family lines, this is the best thing that can happen. You have 4 people on the lines. It's a very good chance they're going to stick with you because it's very inconvenient. If one person leaves or whatever, it just kind of disrupts the whole process. So that's why they really want you to add a bunch of lines, and they give you a little incentive to do so, right? They bring your price down. It's cheaper if you do so because this is the best pick for them. Get more customers on the line. It looks better for their Q2, for their earnings, right? Because they can say they have more customers. So impressive. Far better than what we anticipated, 419 versus 285,000. So much better. They're saying that they've also added 239,000 landline broadband customers that get fiber optic network based on services. All right, so what do we got here? AT&T. All right, AT&T reported Q4 free cash flow of $4.6 billion, up nearly 10% versus estimates of $4.05 billion. Free cash flow growth supports AT&T's dividend. And then we can see here, of course, the graph here, right? And of course, as a result of this, their stock went flying up. So this is very impressive. Why is it so impressive to me? There's been a lot of things going on with AT&T recently. Data breaches, outages, all negative things. Bad press for AT&T. I certainly figured in my mind that some of these bad things going on were going to have some kind of imprint on their earnings. I'm thinking maybe a lot of customers were going to get tired of them and bounce and go to T-Mobile or Verizon or just an MVNO option. That was my impression because there's been a lot of negative attention coming at them. If you read social media, people are talking all kinds of negative things about AT&T service, how it's just not working, it's not reliable, this, and that, right? I did a poll. Okay, I did a poll yesterday, and I asked you guys, what service is your least favorite? And I put a few options, 4 options: T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, and Dish Wireless. So far in that poll, AT&T is your least favorite carrier. That's what you guys are choosing. I can't vote on my own poll, right? So I'm not in any way manipulating it. This is your opinions. Whoever is voting on this, you guys are the ones that are saying that you dislike AT&T the most. But yet it's just interesting because, it seems like there's a lot of hate towards AT&T in general in the wireless industry. Like if you rate all three carriers, it really has been AT&T at the bottom. And there's a lot of reasons, right? Some of you feel like the service isn't all that good. Some of you feel like it's just far too expensive for what you're getting for all that money. And that is my biggest gripe with them. Like, I love the service. I think the service works great. I think it's a very good balance between T-Mobile and Verizon. I feel like, if I could choose one carrier, price is not an option. I don't really care about that. Like, let's assume, of course, I care about that in reality. But if I didn't care about that and I had to pay $100 for a service, I don't know. I think based on the reliability and the fact that I think that I would have a better balance of a smooth, stress-free operating network with AT&T in my travels, wherever I may take it, versus the other two. Now, I'm not saying that T-Mobile isn't good. I'm not saying Verizon isn't very good. What I'm saying is, for me, that'd probably be the best balance to kind of get the best of both worlds, or all worlds, should I say. As far as, data, T-Mobile is basically rocks the house on most occasions, and Verizon as well. AT&T's data has always been a bit behind, and they know this, but that can be a problem for many of you, right? You're not getting top-notch 5G service. You're not getting the speeds that you want to see on most, tests. As far as the plans, they are very watered down and bland, and they're not cheap. They are not cheap at all. So I can see why some of you are rating AT&T as your least favorite. It's not a pleasurable experience for you, perhaps for some of the reasons that I've just announced or mentioned, right? You're not getting the things that you want from your carrier. You're not getting all the perks. You're not getting the speeds. So, of course, at the end of the day, you have to find what choice is right for you, right? If I was to say one negative thing about AT&T, the plans are bland and they're expensive, right? So that goes hand in hand. You're not getting the value that you would get with the other two carriers. You're just not getting that. And we often ask, like, why doesn't AT&T beef these plans up? Why don't they add more perks? Why don't they drop their prices? Or why don't they remove taxes? Something to attract more customers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, they don't need to. The reliability, the reputation that they have clearly shows that they just don't need to. They're not going to smut themselves out. That's what it looks like, right? When they're doing better than anticipated, results are clearly here that they're almost doubling, right? The guesstimates of what we had. They just don't need to do these things. They have a customer base that trusts them. These are obviously customers that are more than likely in high professions, doctors, lawyers, in transportation. I don't know. People that want a reliable, dependable network. They feel AT&T is a solid, reputable service that they can depend on. They can make the calls when it's important. We read about this all the time. AT&T is always being commended. Even when we see those tests from Ookla and OpenSignal, who gets the reliability rating, the high reliability rating? It's usually AT&T. Hands down, is that network that you can depend on to make the call, to send that text when you're in a low signal, weak signal area. You have a flat tire, AT&T will be there so you can call someone in your family to help you, or call AAA, whatever it is. Sometimes you're shooting craps when it comes to T-Mobile, right? Service gets spotty, and it can happen with Verizon too. It's happened to me. There are plenty of times when I see Verizon's bars are low, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen with AT&T. What I'm saying is, when it comes to reliability, they are voted pretty much the best. Now, that does not mean they are the best network. That does not mean you're going to get the most value as far as, streaming and all the perks and luxuries that, we all want from our carrier, right? We want to get the most for our money. All of us, myself included. I want the lowest price, best perks, best service. That is what a true consumer, that's how a true consumer shops, right? We don't just throw money around like we're balling out of style. Because if that's the case, we would just get the most expensive plans we can find. We don't do that. Like most of us don't do that. We want the best of the best for less. So I think that what all this is about, all this babbling that I'm doing here, is to show you guys that AT&T is doing better than we anticipated because people trust it. Obviously they trust it. And for it to be postpaid customers is strong. And the fiber network, their internet fiber network, doing great as well. I mean, it's just their strength behind that network. So just imagine, I guess, right? If they actually beefed their plans up, if they added a little bit more perks, like I bet you a lot of you would change that vote, right? You'd probably be like, imagine if they started adding Netflix in there and all this stuff. Once upon a time they were doing that, right? They had all that stuff. They watered it down. Now, but I was looking at their prepaid plan, that $55 max plan plus the 25 gigabytes of hotspot. That's not a bad deal. Now, the biggest gripe I have is the taxes and fees. That can make it a little pricey. Now, that might only add about $7 to your line, but that now pushes your plan to $60 plus. And that's not a number most of us want to see. We want, it's a waste, right? $7, $8 in taxes and fees. It adds up, especially if you have a bunch of lines. Like, that's annoying, right? It can get expensive. And that's one of the things, like even myself, I'm like, why don't they just cut the taxes? Get rid of it. Well, they don't need to. They're going to get customers, and they want customers that value their service and are willing to pay a little bit more for that value. That is how they're seeing it. Obviously, that's what it looks like. Now, I don't know exactly what they're thinking. I don't know what the CEO is thinking and what the marketing team is thinking, but I think they know that they can offer what they're offering because they have a solid, reliable, reputable network. People are going to trust it, and that's just what it is. Now, if the things start to turn sideways and people just don't care if they're reliable as much, they just want more streaming perks and services like that, and they don't really care, well, then we might start to see a decline, and then obviously they'll have to reevaluate their situation. But I think they kind of know that they can get away with it. And these results just are a testament to that. But that's my opinion. Okay, that is my opinion. I go along with my videos because, we're having a conversation here. So, it is what it is. You guys can skip through it. Their link, it will always be down for you in the description if you don't have time to listen to all this. But this is my true opinion on this. This is what I'm thinking. There's really no other way to measure it. Because when you have Verizon going out there and adding all these perks and benefits, and T-Mobile too, but then you have AT&T who's offering the most blandest plans you can think of, even compared to MVNOs. And they want a lot of money for these plans, right? Their plans are not cheap, AT&T. And they're still pulling in this high rank of postpaid customers. I mean, there's got to be a reason, right? People trust it. As always, thank you guys for stopping by and watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.